to jump in on you on this one. First of all, ask yourself a question. If you wanted to kill 350,000 black people every year in this empire, how would you do it? You would need to do it. You would need the leaders of the people that you're going to slaughter, because otherwise, you know that they wouldn't just voluntarily go murder 350,000 of their own children. For them to do that, you'd have to convince them that it was in their best interest. And to do that, you call on the leaders whom they trust, and you have those leaders turn around and carry it out. Everybody was complaining about, the money, the stimulus, and how the small business administration ran out of money for small businesses. And of course, every single little black and Latino shop, store, grocery store, all of those businesses, of course, their applications got pushed to the side and to the back before they could even get paid. Well, of course, I'm sure you heard by now that Planned Parenthood went out there and got, through their affiliates, $80 million to kill babies, to kill black and Latino babies. Let me tell you something, man. This could never have ever been done if not for how much black and Latino leaders, Native Indian leaders, have prostituted themselves to kill the children of the Lord. And many of them are religious leaders. Your religious leaders, amazingly, collaborate with the people that murder you, and now turned around and have convinced us to kill 350,000 of our babies in the abortion clinic. And as a result, now Planned Parenthood could just swindle all their, all the money they need to get paid. They worth $1 billion a year, $1 billion. And they're going to steal another 80 million that they know that they're not supposed to get. Let me get the article real quick and read this for you. All right. Here's what it says. It says 37 Planned Parenthood affiliates applied for and received a total of $80 million in loans from the Paycheck Protection Program. Fox News has learned. This is Fox put this out. And now the federal government wants the money back, saying the affiliates should have known they weren't eligible for the coronavirus stimulus payout. But because black and Latino leaders have sat by the side and are probably getting some of that money, that's how you know they're able to do these type of things so easily. In other words, it would not have passed the sniff test. It would have got stopped somewhere in there. The Small Business Administration is filled with blacks and Latinos that work there. Many of them in very high positions, man. Okay, whose job is supposed to be to always give out, not just during this event, but to always give out small business loans. But of course, instead of doing their damn job and taking care of the small black and Latino and Native Indian businesses that's always in a struggle because the financial ability for them to function is always up against major corporations. So of course, it's far more difficult for them. So instead of doing their job, they and their cronies have, soon as the stimulus package went through, they and their cronies got together and got their paperwork through and collected $80 million to murder more black and Latino babies, man. Let me read a little bit more of this garbage, man. The SBA, Small Business Administration, is reaching out to each involved Planned Parenthood affiliate, explaining that the affiliates of larger organizations with more than 500 employees aren't eligible for PPP distributions, Fox News is told. The Planned Parenthood Federation of America alone had more than 600 employed, them by themselves. A Planned Parenthood affiliate in metropolitan Washington, for example, will receive a letter stating that although self-certified that it was eligible for $1.3 million in loans in accordance with the SBA affiliate rules, it will need to return the money. Okay, because of course, Planned Parenthood, who's worth a fortune, didn't even need that. They made an empire, man, off of killing black and Latino babies. An empire. And gamed it up with the idea that it is all about, helping a woman have a child whenever she believes it's necessary or at the time. It's just easy. It's just a way to rob the Lord's chosen people, man. Okay. I'm going to jump down. I ain't going to go too long. I don't want to make this tape too long. Let me jump down a little bit here. All right, because I'm going to skip all the political parts in the story. Because, of course, you know, they pissed off as hell on the Republican side. But both of them are monsters, man. The Republican side and the Democrat side, both of them have been monsters in this entire thing, man. Neither one of them have done the right thing when it comes to the Lord's chosen. Once again, you're a constant victim, man. You're a constant victim and you don't even know you're a victim. But the Lord is going to bring it out. He's going to reveal a lot of it, man. Let me read a little more. Okay. The SBA warned more severe penalties were possible beyond mandatory repayment. In particular, incorrect or false eligibility certifications by PPP recipients could result in criminal or civil sanctions if the SBA determined borrowers made knowingly false statements, man. Okay, let's get some more. The largest single government loan was a $7.5 million allotment to Planned Parenthood of Orange and San Bernardino counties in California, where all the Latinos is at, trying to wipe out as many of them babies on that West Coast as they possibly can. The ones they can't get rid of across the border, they're trying to kill them in the abortion clinic. One Planned Parenthood affiliate received a loan but declined it. And remember, black leaders used to speak against it, like I always bring out. They used to speak against it. They used to speak against it back in the 70s. But somehow Planned Parenthood and the gangsters got together with groups like the NAACP and other groups and spread that money out, and before you know it, their mouths was silenced, man. You cannot take cash to compromise God's people, man. That is not allowed, man. And the Lord gonna bring deep punishment on it. Langford, politician, meanwhile wrote that every dollar Planned Parenthood took from PPP was a dollar that did not go to legitimate small businesses. Of course it was. Tons of black and Latino businesses shut down and really ready to go out of business, and the employees didn't get that money. But the place that kills their babies did get that money. With an annual budget of over $1 billion and the explicit Small Business Administration affiliation rules made it clear that Planned Parenthood was not and is not eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program. Like other large organizations that return monies they were not eligible for, Planned Parenthood should immediately repay the American people the money they took from deserving small businesses and nonprofits, man. It's got to go way beyond that. And once again, that's why, man, you have to be called into being a spiritual human being. You have to be called into waking up and finding out truly, how did you and your people get to this point in this world? How did this world get to the point where 350,000 of the Lord's babies are being murdered every day, and it goes on like nothing? And not only that, here's what's doubly heinous about Planned Parenthood. What's doubly heinous about Planned Parenthood is Planned Parenthood also sells the body parts of all those babies. Lord knows what the hell they doing with them body parts. I would not be surprised if some 20 years from now, if this kingdom still goes on, or even in Christ's kingdom when it's set up, that the records come out and come to find out that they were taking those body parts and growing them in laboratories to give replacement parts to all the Edomites in Europe or in Russia or somewhere else, or right here in this country. I won't be surprised. They claim that they do this for science, but you telling me science needs 350,000 fetuses? That's how much science, that's what science needs? They're a bunch of damn liars, man. It's evil and it's genocide. And I'm gonna bring it out, of course, in the Bible. But first, let me just get a little bit of them. You know, back in 2015, they caught them selling body parts and doing negotiations and having a discussion about it. Of course, they denied that it wasn't about that, but you could obviously see that that's what it's about. So you got to read the words. This is from back in 2015. I think it was CBS that actually aired it. So bear with me 1 second. Let me see if I can get this sound right.
Planned Parenthood is on the defensive this morning, facing an investigation of its practices. An undercover video alleges the reproductive health organization sells body parts from abortions. The group says the claims are flat out untrue.
Frankenstein.
Jan Crawford is in Washington, where 3 congressional committees are now getting involved. Jan, good morning.
Well, good morning. So the video was secretly recorded by the anti-abortion group as part of a 2.5-year sting operation. Here, 2 members posed as employees of a biotech firm to get access to a top doctor at Planned Parenthood. And over lunch, they recorded the whole conversation.
A lot of people want exact parts these days.
In graphic detail, Planned Parenthood's Senior Director of Medical Services described how to preserve valuable fetal tissue during an abortion.
We've been very good at getting parts on the bird because we know that so I'm not going to crush that part. I'm going to basically crush below, I'm going to crush above, then I'm going to see if I can get it intact.
Over wine and salad, she answered questions about the organization providing fetal tissue to research.
Wait a minute, y'all had to catch that for a minute, man. I know y'all heard that. She said, because people want hearts these days, I'm not going to crush them parts. I'm not, meaning when they taking that baby out, they crushing that baby to death. And as they crushing that baby to death, they making sure they don't crush the parts that they make money off of. They're going to make sure they crush only the parts that'll kill the baby, but without, of course, damaging the parts that they trying to sell. Like, this is Frankenstein, brother. This is Frankenstein. And which is why our sisters, man, if we got to starve, if we got to eat oatmeal, man, every single day, if we got to eat gruel every day, our people should never, ever, ever participate in this kind of genocide. And how could you ever believe that the Lord would get on your side and support you and back you up if you sitting up there listening to their lie that you got a choice, that you could do what you want to do, and you murder your baby? I don't get how you could even think that way, that could be okay with the Lord. Let me finish up the tape, okay?
Researchers, typically for a fee.
I would say it's probably anywhere from $30 to $100, depending on the facility and what's involved.
The backlash was immediate. Republican presidential candidates pounced.
I just think it's outrageous and disgusting.
And Congress announced it will investigate.
I don't care how much political weight Planned Parenthood throws around this town. No one is above the law.
But
and now remember that this was back in 2015. Here we are now in 2020. They're getting $80 million from the government in small business loans, and nothing has happened based on the abortion. Not a thing has happened, because of course they got together with all their Democratic cronies, your black leaders, your Latino leaders, your Native Indian leaders, and they squashed the whole thing. They are selling our body parts in the open market. I mean, she was having salad and wine. You see them in these cafes and out eating and having a good time and looking like just the most righteous people in the world. Meanwhile, they over that salad and that wine, they're discussing how much they're going to sell your baby's body parts for. It is insane. It is insane that this goes on, man. And our people have allowed it to go on, and this is why it's been such a horrible, horrible walk. But it's a very deep biblical part to this. It's a very, very serious biblical part to this that we got to get into, man. Let me read some of this, okay? And add this to the game. This is what the Lord said. Exodus 13:2. He said this: sanctify unto me all the firstborn. Whosoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both man and beast, it is mine. That's what the Lord said. He said that baby, that's his baby. That's his property when it comes to blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, man. And so no sister has the right to take that baby and murder it. You don't have that right biblically, because the Lord said it belongs to him and that you're not supposed to do it. And listen, and for the sake of your people, why would you do it anyway? Let me tell you something. Every time in the Bible a nation has tried to set up abortions in a nation or kill the children of the 12 tribes of Israel, it has always been out of fear that either a king or a ruler or our people would in some way rise up and become more powerful than them. And this is no different. This is no different. You may not be in the secret halls of the White House or in other secret places where they discuss these matters at, but this much you should know from just reading the Bible. From reading the Bible, you should know that whenever you see this kind of mass genocide of God's chosen people, that it has some link to the empire ruling over them and some fear that that empire is going to somehow, take over. Let's get it. Let's get the story of it if we could. This is Matthew's the 2nd chapter, 2nd verse. Okay. Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, Judah, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem. This is right before he was about to be born. These men came from the east, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship. Meaning these guys were guys that worship the stars. They were like, what do you call them things? Astrologers. They would read the stars. And here's what you should understand. You think that doesn't go on today? You think that why you think they're watching every comet, watching every constellation, got giant telescopes out there in space? They tell you they looking for the Big Bang and the theory of life and this and that and how life began. But they also out there trying to read them stars, trying to read them signs, because that's all the heathens had. The Lord decided to deal with the 12 tribes directly. But all the other tribes, all the other nations on the earth, they don't have anything but either a false god or the astrology they look into. And these men came from the east and they were looking at that astrology and saw that Christ was to be king, man. Okay, so here's what it says. This is the 3rd verse. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And this is heavy. It said he was troubled and all Jerusalem with him. Meaning not our people, but all of his people that were ruling over our people in Jerusalem. All those who were loyal to the Roman Empire, they were troubled, man. They were troubled. And you can best believe all them that love the empires of this world are very worried about you coming out of slavery and becoming the next rulers of the world. They're very worried about that. And so who knows what they've enacted? This much we know, that they've enacted an amazing plan to kill 350,000 babies in the abortion clinic and sell the body parts and make $1 billion while they do it. Amazing, man. Amazingly wicked, evil thing to do to the Lord's chosen. Let me get some more. This is Matthew 2 and 4. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. He went and got all the religious leaders, meaning all the ones that he had been paying so long. That's why he was able to demand it. Why you think he was able to demand it from them? Because he was paying them off. And the same goes for your leaders. They're being paid off and ready to explain to the slave master exactly what is going on and what the biblical prophecies are, so that he can attempt to stop it. That's what you listening to right here. You listening here to an attempt to stop the emerging of Christ's kingdom, man. And this attempt is often done through the murder of our babies, man. And Planned Parenthood right now is the tip of the spear of that event in 2020, man. You wonder why the coronavirus is here. You wonder why the Lord is bringing these curses down. These curses are coming because of this very thing that we're reading about right here, man. Let me get some more. I'm going to read 4th verse again, Matthew 2 and 4. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. Matthew 2 and 5. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem, Judea, for thus it is written by the prophets. Matthew 2 and 6. And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. And so they went and pulled the prophecies up for Herod. They went into the records, pulled the prophecies up for Herod, and scared Herod to death. Matthew 2 and 7. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. Meaning, give me the understanding of this. Give me this, break down this thing in this constellation that lets y'all know that this is the king coming to rule over these people. Once again, they don't want no rulers over us. They pretend like they want us to get our thing together and stop crime and get off of drugs and clean up together. But they do not want that over you. They don't want it, which is why you got to do it. Which is why you got to resist being a criminal. You got to resist going into the left-hand side of the world because it's what they want. It's what keeps you leaderless. It's what keeps Christ from returning and getting you right, man, and delivering you out of this place, man. And one thing you should have learned from the coronavirus is that the Lord controls all things. He could stop any kingdom anytime he gets ready. Nothing can move against him, man. And you need that. So let's go on. Matthew 2:7. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. 8th verse, Matthew 2:8. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And when you have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him. Okay. When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. Meaning as they reading this thing, they reading it to right back where to Christ is at. And they reading it right back to Christ, and they get there with Christ and they begin to see, yo, it's true that that what they saw was the return of Christ to be set up in the earth. But I'm going to jump down past that part. This is Matthew 2 and this is the 12th verse. And being warned of the Lord in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. They got slick. They were warned by the Most High. Don't you dare try to come and kill this king, which is what black leaders already know. Latino leaders already know. Don't you dare take the lives of these young black men and black women and Latino men and Latino women, because these are the chosen people of the Lord. Don't you dare do that, man. Don't you dare open up that gate. Don't you dare try to move against them. But instead, it's happening to you because you are the lost 12 tribes of the children of Israel. That's who you are. And it's going to become evident after a while in this kingdom, man. Okay, let's read on. 13th verse, Matthew 2:13. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise, take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him, man. So 14th verse. And when he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt. So they got the hell out the country. They had to leave the country for this boy to survive, man. For this boy to survive, because of course they knew that this genocidal maniac, like Planned Parenthood, would go out and kill at any cost to make sure that their empire wouldn't fall. You understand? See, when the Lord puts you in captivity, man, and puts you in punishment, it's for a time. It's not for forever. And when that time comes up, then it's time for the Lord to raise you back up. But the other nations don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that now you're going to get out of captivity, and now you're no longer going to be a slave. You're no longer going to be a drug addict. You're no longer going to live in poverty. They're no longer going to eat continuously off of your destruction. They don't want to hear that. So, of course, they'll do whatever it takes for them to get around that. Let's read on some more. Matthew 2:15. And was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. 16th verse, Matthew 2:16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, he was exceedingly wroth. He was pissed off that those wise men didn't come back to him and show him where Christ was so he could kill Christ. They instead slipped out the country another way. He's pissed off now. Here's what he does. Here's what this animal does, man. And listen, today, when you go and look up about Herod in the history books, first thing they'll say is there's no proof that happened. Then they'll go into all the things he built in Jerusalem, and they try to change his character to turn around and make him look or appear as though he was actually a noble person, actually, a Renaissance type of person, that he was actually helping and building up their empire, when all of that's a lie, which is why you got to trust what the Bible say, regardless of what other history books say. People spin history all the time, but the Lord put these records together for our time in this day, for us to wake up in this day and to see a path clear back to the Father and what it is that we're supposed to do. Let me show you some more. Here's what it says. Matthew 2:16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceedingly wroth, and sent forth, check this out, and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men, meaning he sat down with them wise men and he inquired with them about all that they was trying to read in the stars. And he got it all, meaning they had a serious summit secret discussion about killing Christ. And they sat down and they said, and they gave him the information he was looking for about what time he was supposed to be born, about how old he would be at that time. And he looked at all of that, and from everything that he saw, he said, just to be safe, I'm gonna kill every child that's 2 years and younger. This way I got a good chance at killing him off so that he does not become king. See, they'll pretend to you like God doesn't exist. They're atheists. Okay, it was all men writing the scriptures. It had nothing to do with anything. When every last prophecy in this Bible is true, and every last thing that it said would happen is happening right now. And don't make no mistake, the coronavirus is part of that deep biblical prophecy, man. And they said, and so they would act like they don't think, they ain't even thinking about it. When, believe you me, they must be thinking about it, because they killing 350,000 of our babies, not one time, constantly. Like the attempt at stopping Christ's kingdom in these last days have gone even beyond Herod. It has gone to the point where it is mass genocide, man, that is happening in this empire, man, and around the world. Let me get a little bit more. Okay. Middle of 16, Matthew 2 and 16. And slew all the children that were at Bethlehem, and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. 17th verse, Matthew 2:17. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, 18th verse, Matthew 2:18. In Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they are not. Rachel mourned for having some children, mourned that she would have some babies, man. You understand? And eventually the Lord blessed her through her handmaids to have them. But her herself suffered terribly in her heart that she couldn't bring them children forth. And let me tell you something, the same should apply to us. We should be as Rachel, man. We supposed to be sorrowful that our children are being killed in an abortion clinic, and our wives and daughters are being taught and brainwashed to not bring forth these babies, when these babies, you don't know who they are. You don't know who they are. You don't know what the Lord would do with them. Joseph and Mary were poor at the time they had Christ. Just because you poor, that's not an excuse to wipe out your baby, man. You don't know who you bringing forth. You don't know what great person among God's chosen people you bringing forth, which is also another deep brainwashing understanding that I will just touch on for a second. Part of your deep brainwashing in the empire is to make you think that you're nothing. Make you think that your people are nothing. Make you think that the children, that your people as a people are the evilest people. Many of us hate our own, deeply hate our own, deeply blame our own, deeply are intolerant of our own. Okay, love other nations more than ours, would love to change our identity, take on the identities of other nations. We learn their languages, learn how to be like them, take on their garments. We do all that, man. We do all that. And as we do all that, we lose us. And as we lose us, guess what? They turn around and treat you like garbage. And then they can tell you anything. Then they can tell you you don't need to have that baby, because of course they're not teaching you that that baby is amazing. That baby, they teach you that baby just gonna grow up to be a criminal, man. That baby, you ain't gonna be able to take care of that baby. Margaret Sanger's philosophy of genocide has permeated through the black community, through black religious leaders and black people that hate black people. And they hate, and this is the only reason they hate other black people. They hate other black people because they want a part of the empire and the slave master's plate. The Nazis did the same thing. The Nazis had a thing that they used to do. And boy, one day I'm going to find this film and I'm going to do a tape on it. They had a thing where they would go around with a film crew and they would go into the most poorest areas of Germany, where the poor white Jews were at. And they would go in that area and they would take people who were better off, well-to-do Jews, and they would film them and talk to them. And while they filming them and talk to them, there was people laid out starving on the street, laid out, half dead on the street. And those that had some would actually be blaming the poor white Jews. They don't like to bring that out because they want to seem like the Jews were all unified. They were not unified. You better go back and watch Schindler's List again. They were not unified. Many of them worked with the Nazis and got rich working with the Nazis, man, and came over here to this country later on and changed their names. But that's their story. You understand? My point being is that's propaganda. That's how you work propaganda. You make it look like the people that are destroyed because it's their own fault. And you use many times their own people to accuse them of it, which is exactly what's going on. But here's the thing. We got the Bible now. We got the Bible. And because we got the Bible, guess what? We no longer got to be asleep to any propaganda, any lies, any game. It's no longer we got to wonder what is right and wrong anymore, because we got our records from thousands and thousands of years ago on really how life was and what God wanted and didn't want. And that is a blessing that I can't even begin. That's a tape within itself. I'll be here all night, so I'm going to leave that alone. So let's go down to the 19th verse real quick. Okay, but when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeareth in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. He went and killed every child in Bethlehem and the surrounding area, went and slaughtered them all in an attempt to stop Christ from coming back and getting his kingdom. You don't think that's what's going on today? That you think that's an impossibility? You think that's a conspiracy theory? That could actually be a plan today? Okay? You should open your eyes and see. Obviously it is. Obviously, Planned Parenthood is a bunch of genocidal maniacs. Obviously. Let me get one more. I know we're cutting time on this one short. Let me just look at here right quick. Time. It's Isaiah 56:10. And this is directly. And let me tell you something, man, why you should thank the Lord for the Israelite school of UPK. The Israelite school in UPK is the only organization that have put a serious checking on Black and Latino leadership. A serious checking on Black and Latino leadership. Okay? You stand up and become a politician or religious leader and you decide you're going to take a position in this earth, then you going under the scrutiny of the prophets of the Lord. You going under that scrutiny, man. You understand? And under that scrutiny, whatever you doing that you shouldn't be doing, it'll be called out. All our Black organizations they monsters, man, for allowing this to go on. Even Martin Luther King's own daughter, got together with Glenn Beck. You could look it up on YouTube. Got together with Glenn Beck. I was down there when they brought that rally up. I blazed up against the evil that they were trying to resurrect. But at any point, them two were down there and they had come together on the fact that Black people were being killed in the abortion clinics and that the Planned Parenthood and others were financing groups like the NAACP. The NAACP show up every time a Black man gets killed. Every time a Black man gets killed and they make the news and it's a big investigation, they on that TV set with their lawyers and their suits on. They the same organization that's taking tons and tons of money from an organization that's killing our babies. And turning around and saying, well, it's a woman's choice. Not according to the Lord. According to the Lord, that baby that comes out that womb belongs to the Lord, not that system. And why aren't these religions? They got the scriptures. They know what I'm saying is true. Why aren't they doing something about it? Why aren't they saying something about it? Don't worry, though. The Lord is raising up a whole new level of priests that will enforce the righteousness of the Most High in your heart, that will give you what you need to really become a servant of Christ. You might look at us now like we a bunch of thugs and all of that, but you better go back and read the Bible. The priest of the Lord left out the temple many times and went with the people to defend the people against the evils that was destroying them. They got into the mud with the people to deliver the Lord's chosen people. And then when all became peaceful, they went back into the temple, man. Cleaned up the temple, fixed up the altar. There are many stories about it. The Maccabees, many other stories where we did these things, man. So right now the priests are not in the temple because the children are dying in the streets. And so they done put scarves on their head, they done put on boots, and they left out the temple, and they out here dropping this knowledge to bring the nation back to the order of the righteousness of Christ, man. I.S.U.P.K. Let me read some more of this, all right? I'm almost finished. Isaiah 56:10. His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant, and they are blind. Meaning this, they're intelligent people normally. They're savvy orators. Excellent cats in the scriptures. But the Lord look at them as blind because here's what's blinding them. Their pocket has made every ounce of their intelligence go out the window. And that's why the Lord said they are all ignorant. Because now they get played by the other nations because they can't see what's happening to them. And the whole reason they can't see it is because the lust of their mouth, the desire to gobble up everything they can get from their slave master's table. Let me read some more. The middle of the 10th verse, Isaiah 56:10. They are all dumb dogs, God's words. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark. A dog is supposed to bark, man. If you got a dog, man, that don't bark when somebody come near the house, that's why he got extrasensory hearing. Why did God make dogs to have a special hearing? They got that special hearing so that when an intruder comes that you can't hear, they hear it and bark. Okay, that's what their job is supposed to do. Okay, a lot of you go get a dog that don't bark when I don't even understand why you do. When the whole point of the dog is supposed to be part of your alarm system. A dog is part of your security circle. And back then when there was no such thing as an electronic alarm, that was all you had, was the dog to answer the call. So you would never go out back in ancient days and get a dog that didn't bark when a stranger came along. That's why he has those ears. That's why he has that super sensitive nose. He can smell a mile away in many cases. He can smell in open field. He can smell long off. And other animals too. But the dog is to do that for you. He smells far off. And when he smells far off, he barks. But the Lord said, our watchmen, man, our leaders, the men that's supposed to be watching over us, they don't bark. They like a dog that just sit there while you being taken out. Middle of the 10th verse, Isaiah 56:10. Sleeping, lying down, loving the slumber. They at sleep. They sleeping, man, while we on the job here getting it done. Waking them up, bringing the brothers back. I mean, again, I always say this. I know y'all hear this on every tape practically that I make. I always talk about it because it was so amazing. You had to be me and the men that was with me back in the 80s. When we were standing on them corners and it was just a few of us and we would speak these words, and in our mind we would think, even though we were speaking them, we was young and doubtful. And in our mind we say into ourselves, ain't no way nobody gonna listen to this. Even though we knew it was right, we broke it down to the scriptures right. We followed what the leaders said, but we said nobody gonna hear this, man, because that's how asleep everybody was. Everybody had the impression there was nothing you could do with black men. There was no hope for them. There was no hope for black and Latino people, period, until the prophets came along. While you filled your churches up with women who had jobs, who could pay you money and buy you a Rolls Royce, the Lord sent us out there, man, and we went out there and woke up the brothers, who also waking up the sisters. And it was so righteous and amazing to see, and to see the transition from then to now is amazing to you. And if you a brother or sister that was out there back then with us and was a participant, man, just take a second right now and pat yourself on the shoulder. Pat yourself on the shoulder and tell yourself, job well done, regardless of what you at or where you at right now. Tell yourself, job well done. Your brothers are still here. We still doing it. And it was amazing what you did back then and continue to do every day. And forget about these young brothers up in the I.S.U.P.K. now. Oh my goodness, you got to see them in action. They are phenomenal in 2020. I always was under the impression that even if men came in later on, that it would be so evil in this world that they would never attain to any level of real righteousness, but maybe they could help out. But what they amazed me with was they went beyond that and became amazingly righteous. The more evil came on out here, the more they changed their life and became more righteous. It's incredible, man. But I don't want to divert too far. Let me read on. This is Isaiah 56:11. Yea, they are greedy dogs. This is the Lord's words, which can never have enough. And they are shepherds that cannot understand. They never have enough. They so busy gobbling up for themselves, they could never understand the danger that they're putting themselves in and the Lord's chosen people. All the people who did not listen to Christ when he walked this earth and did not go up into the mountains, but was hobnobbing and having a wonderful time with the Romans, they all died in 70 AD. All their children died in 70 AD. All those that thought that they would not listen to Christ and have their own revolution. You know what I mean? We're going to pick up arms and get our own revolution. You do a revolution without Christ, you're going to die. You do a revolution without these scriptures, you're going to die. And that's what many of them did back then. And they did that during the time. Christ said, nah, head to the mountains. This is how we doing this. Okay? They said, nah, man, we're going to take the Romans on right then. They all dead now. Okay? People digging up the records about them now, trying to rehash their heroism, man. When the Romans trampled all over them, stomped them, murdered them, man. And many of them turned traitors and became part of the Roman Empire and part of the Roman strength after 70 AD. The Romans took all the wealth and gold and jewelry and diamonds back to Rome. Half of it sitting in the Vatican right now. The so-called Jew is up there arguing with the Roman Empire right now, trying to get some of them artifacts for themselves when it don't belong to none of them. Belong to the Lord's chosen people, and in due season they'll be put back where they need to be. You got a great leader in Christ. Don't be a fool like so many of our people were in the past, who would not open their eyes and see the path he was setting up for you to get right, for you to get delivered, for your life to change, and all the brothers and sisters around you. Let me finish, man. Isaiah 56, middle of 11, top of 11. Yea, they are greedy dogs which can never have enough, and they are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way, every one for his gain from his quarter. 12 verse Isaiah 56:12. Come ye and say, I will fetch wine, and we will fill ourselves with strong drink, and tomorrow shall be as today, and much, much more. Yeah, meaning they filling themselves with desires. It don't mean it's wrong to drink. It means that they filling themselves with desires, that they're going to have wine and have a good time and party and have a wonderful world while the Lord's people are dying and being trampled over. They driving Rolls Royces, living in mansions, unconcerned, telling people that even though the coronavirus is killing your family, make sure you get that money to them. It's an evil thing, but it will end. It will all end, because we are in the time of the end, and the prophecies are coming to pass every day in this place. So hold on. It'll happen. I'll catch y'all on the next one, y'all. Y'all take care. Hope you and yours are well. Shalom. I want you to stay strong in the spirit of the Lord. Hey, listen, if you like this tape, hit the like button and share it, man. Hit the share button. Everybody share it to their own personal Facebook accounts. Share this video, man, to wake up brothers and sisters all over this earth. Hit the like button. Check me out Monday night. I'm live every Monday night. I bring the heavy hitters in. We do it up live right on this same channel. I'll see you then, Israel. Y'all